Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, but you can call me Pajama Grandma. In case we haven't met yet, go and put hashtag Pajama in the comments below so it's the first time being exposed to Pajama Grandma. Today is day 309 of the Daily Scare Share. We do one thing a day that stretches our comfort zone from the book, Do One Thing a Day That Scares You. I think there's only like 365 days in here, so 309 means we're coming up on the end. But never fear, I have got another thing planned for not the Daily Scare Share. It'll be something else, but I will not be going away. If you were hoping I was going away, sorry, surprise, I'm staying. So today, day 309, as we look in the handy dandy trusted journal, we see it as a blank line day. And it's got the same message as yesterday that says, today I stood like a rock. Yesterday, I showed and shared some of my favorite rocks. Not really, just a couple rocks I grabbed out of my drawer. But I love rocks. And today, as I was thinking about, well, what am I going to do about the blank lines, I thought, and I discovered, and I always have stacks of books around me. So I grabbed this book, Self-Coaching 101 by Brooke Castillo. And it says, use your mind, don't let your mind use you. And she's a master certified coach. So since I'm a coach, I'm always reading other people's stuff. And she's got a cool model. I didn't realize it was right on the back of the book, but it's a very common model. It's all about our thoughts and our feelings and our actions and our results and how those are interrelated in a cycle. She calls it a spin cycle. And it can be an upward spin or a downward spin. If it's focusing on positive thoughts and feelings and actions and results, it's an upward spin. I call that a positive spiral. Again, I've been exposed to these concepts lots of times. She just has her own unique way of showing and sharing this model. And then what she calls a negative spin is based on negative emotions of, well, thoughts, feelings, actions, and results that are negative. She calls that a negative spin. I call that a downward spiral. Same exact thing. And it's all predicated on knowing that our thoughts are what start and create everything. And actually, it's a cycle. Our thoughts become and impact and create our feelings create our actions create our results create our thoughts create our feelings create our actions, and our actions create our results. And this cycle, it's kind of like the plan, do, check, act cycle as a quality manager. This cycle is true of everything and everyone. I don't care if you believe me or not. It's absolutely true for you. Go ahead and look into your life and find some examples of how this is true for you. I used to go round and around in a downward spiral with my ex-husband about this because he didn't believe that our results were anything that we could control. Now, I think he's learned that he controls a lot of his results and outcomes, but he didn't believe it when I believed it, so it caused some rifts in our relationship. But my whole point about this is our circumstances can trigger. Circumstances are things outside of ourselves. And anything outside of ourselves is outside of this cycle of our control. We control our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, and our results. We 100% individually control our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, and therefore our results. We control that cycle. Anything outside of that cycle, we do not control. We don't have control over it. We don't have control over the weather. For goodness sake, people get all bent out of shape and all mad about the weather every single day. Sometimes I even do. But we have absolutely positively no control over that. So why waste any energy being upset about it? Why have our thoughts or feelings go in that negative spiral about something as uncontrollable and unpredictable as the weather? Same thing with man-made things like the news or media or all the different strife and fights and protests that people get involved in. Politics, think politics, oh my God. So television, news, media, politics, religion, all of these things, these circumstances outside of us can trigger us to think different thoughts, which impacts our feeling, which impacts our action, which impacts our results. So things outside of us can trigger us, but it is 100% always up to us to decide if we're going to let those things trigger us or not. Now, that's a lot easier said than done, right? Especially with human beings and people. We have the incredible ability to trigger one another in ways almost unfathomable. I trigger my ex-husband, I'm sure, just in things I say, or if I ask a question, that can trigger a negative spiral. If he asks me a certain question, it can trigger a negative spiral. If he gives me a certain look, it can trigger a spiral. And it works the same with our children and every other person that we interact with. But remember, anything outside of us is a trigger, And we get to decide whether we're going to let that trigger flip our switch up or flip our switch down, or if we're just going to let it be neutral. I find that the more I remain neutral about outside triggers and I decide what I'm going to think, what I'm going to feel, how I'm going to act, and what results I'm going to get, the much happier I am. So she has a great quote in this book today, and I want to read that as part of this. Again, Brooke Castillo, 101 Self-Coaching 101, use your mind, don't let your mind use you. And it says, I do need my magnifying glass. It is never the circumstance causing your feelings. It is always your thinking about the circumstance. So think about that. Stuff happens around us all the time, 24/7. When we're sleeping, probably not so much, but otherwise, yes. So it's going to keep happening. There's not going to be anything we do unless we put a big bubble around ourselves, so we walk around with a big bubble, and then stuff can still get in and trigger us. Things are going to happen. Things are going to happen outside of us and around us. And it's always up to us to choose, first off, what we're going to think about that. Because what we choose to think and how we choose to interpret that event or that circumstance is going to determine how we feel about it. How we feel about it is going to determine our actions. And what actions we take is going to determine the results that we get. Sometimes the best action is to just not take any action. And a lot of times the best thoughts about a trigger are, oh, that's just a trigger. I don't choose to react to that right now. And then we have a happier, more calm life because our thoughts allow us not to make a choice to be reacting to something that gives us a calm and more peaceful and more controlled and more personal, empowered state of mind. And if we're feeling that way, that's a feeling, then we will take actions that are in alignment with that. And when we take actions that are in alignment with that and how we want to feel, we'll get the results that we want in our life. So, circumstances are not rocks. So today it says, today I stood like a rock. And today I'm going to encourage you to stand like a rock and protect your thoughts and your feelings and your actions and your results. And protect yourself by noticing and paying attention to things, circumstances outside of your control that trigger you. You know, the boss asking you a question, or somebody, making a snide comment about your outfit, things, or somebody cutting you off in traffic, things that really just don't matter. But all of us have been guilty in the past of just getting all worked up over them. That's it. Go out, make it a fantastic day. And of course, I'll be back tomorrow with another Daily Scare Share. You got this. Don't be scared. Bye.